Hello and welcome back to the channel. To excuse my voice, I've still got that nasty flu that's going around, and I'm struggling to get over it. It's been a week now. God, it hangs about, doesn't it? So anyway, I can't really go out of the house doing much testing or messing around, so I'm pretty much stuck getting through this backlog of CVs. Now, this isn't something that I got through my usual repairs and stuff. This was something I picked up on eBay. Now, you know, I'm always complaining about the price of CV radios on eBay, but sometimes, you know, some people just don't know what they've got. Now this one I just jumped on my usual sort of check for the new listings under CV radios on eBay. Comes with an Audioline Pt340 meter and an Audioline original mic, an original Audioline. Probably has got a duffer meter. These always go on these, but it is moving at least. Really, now I've done a lot of these Audiolines, not so many I've put on the channel, but I've done quite a few of these, and so I know them pretty well. And so there are a few things like capacitors that will need changing and other bits and bobs. But if I just let you know that I got this lot, this little bundle, for the princely sum of £10. So, you know, if you are on a budget, as most of us are these days, and you're looking to get some vintage gear and get into it, if you're quick and you're lucky, you can sometimes drop onto these things. It's more and more becoming, though, people really know, you know, or eBay will advise them of what price to list the items for, but some people ignore that and just plump them on because they want them out of the way. So let's the microphone could do with a bit of a clean, but it looks nonetheless alright otherwise. Let's take the side screws off of this bad boy. There's a few missing, and see what joys we have inside. There may well be a reason why it was only £10, of course. Okay, the offending item inside it was one of the case screws. Not normally a good sign. I mean, I don't know why that would be inside. Looking at it, normally the capacitors that tend to go bad in these are these larger capacitors here. You normally end up having to replace that one there, that one there, that one there, and that one there on these sets. However, one thing I have noticed upon inspection, the underside of the board seems okay. I can't see any problems there, no dry joints. These aren't known for dry joints anyway, but I can't see any issues there. But what these are more often known for is obviously the faulty meter, the bad meter, and the controls. Now on this one, this has got the on-off switch. It doesn't appear to be switching on and off. It's just turning with like a resistance, some resistance at one point, and then spinning loose, and then turning with some resistance. So either this knob is spinning on the shaft, which is a possibility, or the actual potentiometer is gone. Now I think I do have a scrap chassis of one of these, and I'm pretty sure on maybe on one of Steve's sets I did actually use one of the switches. I remember, yes, I've got it here, look. So I think Steve has already benefited from my generosity there, and he had the same problem on one of his. So Steve, you've lucked out there. So I'm going to have to come up with something else. Try that. I'd either try to repair that or do something with it. So yes, it's a common problem on these, is the switch. So let's I'm just going to switch off the camera and have a little bit more of a delve around, but perhaps before I do that, let's see if we can actually get it to do anything with some power on. So we'll just set up the power supply and I should be right back. I've extracted the knobs. There's a lot of this fluff type stuff in here. I don't know whether this guy had a wall-to-wall carpeted cabin in his truck or something. But all of that kind of fluff was wrapped around the controls there, and it seems to have been dragged, maybe some of it dragged into the controls there, I think. With these, they have there's not a huge gap in between the fascia plate. You can peel this off, but every time if it's tricky to get off, you'll could end up creasing it. So I've got some very nice Japanese little instrument pliers, little needle nose pliers, which are just the right size. I'm going to focus. Just the right size to get in the gap there and grab the nut and spin it off. So That's the only way to get the front of these off. They're a real pain actually. So what I'll do, I'll make sure that the meter's working, the bulb's working while I got all that off, because I'll have to take it all off again otherwise. But yeah, this could be quite a job, because you know, where am I going to get another on-off volume switch? I haven't got another scrap chassis with one of those on. But you know me, I improvise, and I'm sure we can sort something out. And this may well be why it's £10, but then we don't want the radios to be easy all the time, do we? We want to have a bit of a challenge. It's funny, isn't it? I was looking around for something. Nobody likes a dry soldering iron sponge, do they? And I was looking around, I was thinking of buying a squeezy bottle. At college we used to have these squeezy bottles of a spout, and you could keep your sponge topped up. And I was looking around for buying things, and you're putting out the You're putting out the recycling, as you do, and you see that. The old Fairy liquid bottle. Isn't it funny? You know, I was looking at spending £9.99 for a bottle that I could keep on the shelf, that I could squeeze with a little spout that's right in front of you, isn't it? Okay. We just throw them away, all those soldering iron sponge bottles. Right, let's get the front fascia off and let's have a deep delve into the switch. Okay, anyone that's had one of these audio lines apart will know it's a fiddle. The meter will always hold the front plate on. That's the last thing that happens, and I find it's a lot easier, because you've got to take this screw off to get it off, but you can't actually get to that screw until you've pulled it clear. So I always cut the meter wires, and just unsolder the signal wires, and then cut the bulb wires. It's very, I mean, this bulb, looking at this bulb, I haven't checked it, it actually looks good. So I'll probably just be able to solder those and sleeve those wires back up. But these meters on these audio lines, they really have a problem. They very often are sticky. They either don't move or they stick, and there's a number of ways that you can fix that by adjusting either the top or the bottom screws. They very often have a bit of either Captain tape or clear sellotape over the top, and using a jeweler screwdriver you can actually free them. But it doesn't always work, but it sometimes can, because very often on all these audio lines they use this type of meter. These meters will not move, they'll be stuck. So looking at the dial, I'm going to have to take this off the board. It's still sticky, but I don't really fancy my chances of repairing. I've took these apart before, and I don't think I've ever managed to repair one. They are, once you get them apart, they are an absolute pig to repair. So you've got the pot out, it's sliding in and out. Now, like I say, I'm so loath to take it apart, but I really have no choice. As you can see, it's not switching. The switching mechanism isn't working, and this is the arrangement here. And it uses a little ball and a cam and a spring, and each one is different. So it's a 50k potentiometer according to this. This is the problem you got. I don't know if you can see that, but the actual entire cam mechanism is snapped. The little plastic dial there is cracked in the middle, and the contacts that are on the back of that are there, and the spring doesn't appear to be the little spring return spring, although they do look like they are okay. It is still hooked. So I mean, if I could resin print a replacement part, that would be possible, I suppose, because this is often the bit that gets damaged, the switch plate. But if I can get it to focus, that actually looks alright, which is good. And I don't know, I'll have to check the potentiometer. We'll extract the detritus of this and see what we can do. Right, so I've had a little look. I did try gluing this piece back together with some super glue, but it really wasn't going to work, I could see. And there's really not a lot you can do. And to get a switchable potentiometer of a similar type, I've not seen one. So what I've decided to do, rightly or wrongly, is to order some miniature ones So they're a smaller, more compact version of your classic shaped one like this. And now the new pots are coming with splined shafts. They're not D-type shafts, but that doesn't matter, because on these knobs you can see in there the little D-shaped metal clip. You can just pull that out, and then that will just push onto a standard 6mm shaft. So when I do repairs like these, I know are common, and I know other people will have had this problem with the switch. When I make my repair, I'm always thinking of something that I can do so that you can do it yourselves, or it can be something that I can offer you to help you get it to work. And very often that might mean a 3D printed item or a resin printed item or something like that. And that's not because I want to make loads of money, because there's not loads of money to be made. It's because I want to help people fix the radios. That's why I make the videos, else I would just sit here and do this and not make videos. So yeah, we're going to put this one aside for now until my little potentiometers come, and then I shall carry on with the video then. But I do have a nice little NI440 DX that I put to one side. I'm going to work on that, but you know, you're not going to notice it in the video. So next shot, these little potentiometers will be here, and I'll have done the NI440 DX. Right, it is the next day. I did the NI communicator and gave that to Mick. In fact, we did an on-air test with it. He was so impressed with it, I could tell he wanted it. So yep, he's just popped round, and that's Mick's gift. I think we swapped that for some COVID tests. So thanks for that, Mick. It's going to be very useful. Right, this bag of potentiometers arrived today. Look at these bad boys. Now these are very interesting. I first thought, goodness me, how am I going to use these in the radio? And I think they're quite a robust little unit, a lot more robust than you think, actually. And I've seen these used in other sort of, you know, hi-fi equipment and things like that in the past. These are a sort of a Chinese version, but they are, as you can hear there, on-off switches. Now, I don't suppose, but I don't know, and there's no rating on the switch as to whether the actual switch, the on-off switch rating, is as high as what was fitted in the original. However, we shall find out, shan't we? Now, obviously, the maximum current draw on these radios is about 1.1 amps, and you wouldn't normally turn the radio on and off while it was transmitting. So, with just a few hundred milliamps on receive, I'm hoping that little switch will be okay, but we'll find out. Now, the other question you're all asking, well, will it fit? And yes, it will, is the answer to that. On the original radio, these 3 pins, the volume wiper, solder in through the PCB, and then on the back of the unit, there's a little switch plate. I think I've got it in the box here. A little switch plate here. Those pins from the switch plate stick through onto the PCB. But what I'm going to do is just solder up some wires to the first set of wires to the wiper here, and then the second set for the switch, and just run a set of wires through. And I presented one up, and it fits in there and no problem at all. I just popped it on an angle there, you see, so that fit in there, and then we just run the wires directly to that board, and there's still enough shaft coming out to catch the knob. There you go. Got your volume control knob. Absolutely great. Just got some thin wire out of a scrap chassis, and just popped some sleeving over there, soldered it all up. So let's offer it up into the case and just route these short length of wires back. They've only got to go about that far, so not too bad. So for the best cable routing, we get it off at this angle, and then we're not running in danger of trapping the wires in between this hole and the side of the case. So we'll bring them in off this side. I'll show you once it's offered up to the rest of the case. You can see what it's like. So there's your 2 switch connections, which are wired from the back, and then there's your pot connections across the 3 holes there, top to bottom, and this cable is just going to route through there into the back. So that's it. But hopefully we should be able to power this up and just test that works all right. Alright, it's getting a little bit late now. We've got it all in. Got our on-off volume there. It feels just totally normal, but we're not getting anything switching on. And so if you can see the choke there, it's not actually connected to the power socket. We're getting 13 volts on the power socket, but nothing on the choke is obviously not passing any current to the radio. So, but that's really strange. And when we touch that, we still didn't get the radio coming on. So I think something's afoot, because that diode down there as well is cracked. You can see the crack in the top side of that diode there, so I'm going to have to change that anyway. But it's far too late now. It's 12:30, so I'm going to sleep. The diode was absolutely toast. So I popped a new diode in, and now, hey, and our on-off switch is working great. We haven't got any no, I know why we haven't got any audio. I was supposed to be going to bed. Let's just plug the microphone in. It's getting late, it's one of them sort of rookie errors. There we go. Excellent. So we've got audio. I'm not sure if you've got transmit. It's too late for me to start now, so I'm going to go to bed. But for the purposes of the video, we'll cut to the next scene. Right, good morning. It's now the next day, and if you watch the channel, you'll know I take overhead photographs of the radios and then mark up on the radios what everything does. So I've done the same here. I'll just lay it out here for you so you can get a look. Right, that's hopefully got everything in. I'll just crop it down a little bit. Right, so you can always pause that and freeze frame it and print it off if you need to know. Really important on these to change the larger capacitors. They do tend to go on these, so it's worth changing the larger, the 470s and the 220s. And also, if you've got a spectrum analyzer on these, if anyone's played with the power section on these, it can drive the harmonic quite high, so it's worth checking the 54 meg harmonic on these when you do them. So let's crack on. I'm not going to show the full tune up. If you need to do it, that's all the information you need there. Okay, so the first thing to check is transmit, and it's doing a full 4 watts on transmit, and it's on frequency. There's no frequency adjustment on these, and we'll just put the 0.4 watts reduction in, and that hasn't made any difference. Well, a little bit of difference there, but that needs adjusting. Okay, let's check the modulation. Deviation. 1 2 1 2 1 2. So it's about 1.8. So I have to come up a tiny bit. 1 2. Check 1 2. So it's doing 27,79116. It should be 125. That's pretty close. That's within spec, so that's fine. Hopefully we can bring it up a bit on receive. It's only doing 1.15 microvolts for 12 dB synad, which isn't ideal. But that's gone down a little bit. So yeah, that needs to come up. I'm going to change the capacitors first before we do anything. Let's just turn the noise off. I'm going to change the capacitors before we do anything. So we'll change those capacitors and then we'll start a tune up and see if we can improve on those figures. These sets are known for bad capacitors, so I decided to change all of the capacitors in this set because I changed the bigger capacitors and I was getting still some weird audio problems, like the filter switch on the front. When that was in and out, that was really noisy in the high position and things like that. So a lot of the capacitors that I took out were had really gone quite bad. So it's certainly, if you've got one of these, they really do benefit from a complete recap, and I can do a full recap of one of these in less than half an hour. I work pretty fast. I've got quite a good technique of doing it, I know, and you get a feeling for where the legs are and stuff, and that's with testing the old capacitor and the new capacitor that's going in. I always test the replacement capacitor and the exiting one, so I know if they've been bad, and I'm not putting another bad one back into the radio. So let's plug this in, and I've done the transmit side. That's fine. We'll just complete the lineup on the receive side, and then we'll we'll take some figures, and hopefully I've cured those few little gremlins that we were having. Right, the capacitor change has really helped. It's now doing 0.6 microvolts for 12 decibel synad, and yeah, it's really helped doing those capacitors. So I would say if you've got one of these and you've got time, rather than just changing the major capacitors, I would definitely go and change all of them, because that's really helped. I haven't got that problem with the filter now. If I just turn it on, you can hear the difference. Before, when I pressed that in and out, it was a lot of noise on the high position. So yeah, that's really good. Can't remember if I showed you this, but you can just about see the edge of the potentiometer there, the new one that we fitted, just tucked along the flat side of the board. So it's actually a nice fit, a perfect fit to go in there as a replacement. So I'm really pleased with that. That was the real saver on this one, because it would have been, you know, it wouldn't have been able to have used it otherwise without adding an extra on-off switch, or perhaps using the low power switch as an on-off switch, which isn't really very good, is it? So very pleased with that little fix, and I'll leave a link in the description as to where you can get those potentiometers from, although you'll be able to find them in all the usual haunts yourselves. And as it's a nice original microphone, we'll strip the microphone down and give that a freshen up as well with the Servicol spray foam, and we'll check the plug and everything else out, and check it's all soldered properly, and move the sleeving back in where it should be. And always, you know, it's worth spending 10 minutes doing the mics if they're an original microphone. It's nice to see this one with its original mic. Alright, it all cleaned up really nice in the end. The Audioline original factory mic cleaned up good, and there was a few little dry joints in there, had a few issues there on receive, which I've just sorted out and gone through, and it seems to be working nicely now. There's lots of foreign interference around this time of day. There's a North Italy station coming through. He's just picked somebody up on the 19. So there's obviously a bit of a lift on at the minute. Good test for the Audioline. Let's see what this, if I can hear the other guy. No, I can't hear the other guy.
Negative, too many station. A lot of traffic. I can make a contact. Too many station. Give me answer. I'm sorry.
Obviously he's been obviously battered. But he's a strong signal with me, so it's obviously just in the right direction.
Exactly.
He's in Italy, so that's all. It sometimes happens when I'm doing the testing. He's not a sidebander. Excuse me. He's using the UK frequencies out there in FM. So he's not on CEPT here. This is a 2781 rig, as you know. So we'll just have another listen for something from him, and then we'll wait for Mick to come up in a bit. Doing well. Just checked. Here you go. Look. Just checked down on the sidebands, on upper sideband, and there's loads of French stations piling in. So what we'll do is see if we can get hold of Mick and find a clearish channel somewhere. Look at this. It's everywhere, all over the band. Perhaps channel 20. We'll see if Mick's around, see if he can just give us a quick rig check. I wonder if you're about there, Mick, if you wanted to start recording at your end, Rog?
Yeah, all copied, Paul, thank you. I am recording. And this is Mick at this end, otherwise known as bus stop. And you're coming through beautiful audio, actually. So you've got no problems there.
Okay, great. Yeah, I've just turned the volume up a little bit there on you as well. And you're coming through really nice. You're using the
Pi440DX at your end, I believe, and it's certainly sounding really good with me, Rog. Yeah, this was a very good purchase on eBay. It was only £10. Came with a SWR meter as well, and the original mic. So I was very pleased with this. There's a bit of a job to repair it, as you'll have seen if you've watched the video now, with the on-off volume switch and whatnot, but yeah, it's come round really nice, and it's the first one of these that I actually own. I've not owned an Audioline before. I've repaired lots of them because they tend to break, Rod.
Yeah, okay, Paul, all copied.
So the audio now at the moment coming through to me is first class, it really is. And yes, you're right, I'm on the 440DX and very pleased with that as well. So it looks like a proper radio actually. Anyway, back to you, Paul.
Okay, yeah, you know me, I love a radio with...
I love a radio with a Roger beep. No Roger beep on this radio, unfortunately. But I gave the microphone an overhaul as well, put a new plug on it and cleaned all the cable connections and the pins and everything. Little things a lot of people don't, do. I mean, you can actually get quite a good increase in deviation. I was going to do a video on that actually, where I got some dirty old microphones and simply cleaned up all the contacts and improved the deviation quite a bit. So it does make quite a difference there. Okay, thanks again for coming back to me for the testing. It makes all the difference to get a proper radio test on these radios after I've spent time in here, because you can't always tell with lab equipment if it sounds any good. Of course, it's obviously I'm only looking at levels and the dB synad readings and things, which aren't, I mean, they can all be great and you can still sound terrible. So it's good to know. Okay, I'll hand it back round to you for a final there and let you stop the recording, and I'll thank you again. Cheers, mate.
Right, I hope you've enjoyed that repair video on the Audioline. You can get these bargains like this, but do be prepared to do some work. Not everyone will tell you what's wrong with the radio, so it's definitely worth, expecting that you're going to have to do something. Right, if you've enjoyed this video, please give us a like, and if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. That'd be great to have you on board. We'll catch you on the next one, 73.